Angus Young, how you doing?
Good, Becko.
The Offspring.
How's it going, Becko?
Dave Grohl, how you going, mate?
Good, man.
Pete, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, Becko, hasn't it indeed?
We go inside the dressing room, speak to the biggest names in music,
Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
and crack open their esky.
This is exactly how I imagined you, by the way, sitting opposite me with a vodka and orange.
You're a discerning chap. This is The Rider.
Hey, this is Becko. Welcome back to The Rider. We've had a big few weeks with Midnight Oil's final album, Resist, out now. If you missed the track by track, you can hear it exclusively on Spotify with Rob Hurst and Peter Garrett. That is online right now. And, of course, click subscribe, and we've got plenty of great episodes to come. In fact, it's an Under the Southern Stars special for the next 3 weeks. So many great bands coming to Australia, including Bush, Stone Temple Pilots, this is going to be a massive highlight. Cheap Trick. Oh, and of course, Rose Tattoo. Under the Southern Stars starts March 11th through to 27, and we're so lucky to have access to so many great artists coming down under. We've got Eric Kretz from Stone Temple Pilots next week on the podcast, and this Thursday, the one and only Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick. That is this Thursday on The Rider with Becko, but I'm very happy to have via Zoom from LA, Gavin Rossdale from Bush. His Zoom screen is just lighting up right now. Gavin, you got me there? Can you hear me?
I can. Nice room.
Look at you, you beautiful man. How you been?
I've been great. Been really good, thanks. Looking forward to... Is this really happening? You guys are down there. Like, you know more than I do. Is it really happening?
This is really, really happening. I mean, COVID is going to be COVID, and look, we're all going to be nervous about what's coming up next and everything, but I think it's finally going to happen. We spoke a year ago, and even then we were like, God, I hope it happens.
Yeah, I know. It's like... I didn't believe it a year ago, and now I'm just sort of, I don't know, I'm just... When I walk out on that stage and there's the crowd and there's the sound and the heat, wow, it's going to be something special.
At least now you don't have to quarantine for 2 weeks, because that was the other problem last year. You were like, okay, we've got to stay in a hotel or maybe a resort somewhere, but at least now you can get off the plane and do stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was psychologically prepared. I was like, that's it. I'm going to learn Pro Tools. I'm going to be a decent engineer as opposed to the worst engineer in the world. And never got that chance, so still pretty terrible.
So you must be so excited about playing in front of a crowd, because I know we've all been pretty starved for that kind of action. And I could feel that last time we spoke last year, you were amazed that we were doing gigs here in Australia for 15 or 20,000 people.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I remember now. Yes. Yeah, I was. I still am. Are they still doing them? So it's working for domestic bands, just no one else from away, right?
It's been really hard bringing people in, but we've had a lot of outdoor gigs, and there was a point where we were completely zero COVID, and we had concerts indoors, unrestricted, with mosh pit. It didn't matter. You were climbing over people, but then literally I think a week later we had COVID again. So it all went back to, anyway, it's a bit frustrating, but we can't wait, because this lineup is incredible for Under the Southern Stars. I mean, it's going to be great to see you guys. We've got Stone Temple Pilots and Cheap Trick as well. I mean, it's going to be nice to walk around backstage and see all these guys again.
Let's hope they're not stuck up.
How do you get stage fit in a way? Like, there's a bit of prep involved.
I think the trick is to just always be ready. Just always ready. I mean, you know what I mean? I had moments where I ate my way through COVID, but generally it's been all right. And I actually got a bit injured. I normally play a lot of tennis. I got a bit injured, and I haven't been able to play tennis for a couple of months. And my body's never felt better, because I play tennis, really try and play to a decent standard, and move pretty good. But then by about 4 o'clock, or when I'm done and I'm back home, I move around like an 80-year-old. So I was like, so now I feel maybe the tennis, it's the sideways stuff that's a bit much, And when Roger Federer's getting surgery, that it's anyone, if you're that elegant and you still need help, it can happen to anyone. So
yeah.
But anyway, that's what I normally do, a bit of cardio stuff, Well,
it's the same with football as well. I mean, sometimes the sideways movement can hurt you with your knees and everything.
Yeah, just whatever. It's just been fun. My body's preferred I've not been playing, but that's generally what I do. Is play tennis, try and get good at that, and then inadvertently I become able to do shows for I used to go in the crowd. Now, of course, I won't go in the crowd. I think no one wants me in the crowd. I have to go through my vaccination card. And recently, I'm clear, everyone.
It is a whole new world. It's all very different. Actually, you know what? I did want to ask you, were you almost a professional footballer? I know about your tennis, and we talk about it all the time, but football.
Yeah, well, I played for semi-pro clubs, and I was pretty good. I think that life is funny. I mean, ultimately, I think that probably not having. I think you have to have lightning speed to be really good. And I'm not sure I had lightning speed. In fact, I didn't have lightning speed, but I was pretty useful. So it's just, I loved it so much. That's it. And then I fell in love with music anyway. And in fact, when I was playing for a semi-professional league, a club, I was also in my band, starting to do rehearsals and thinking I was going to make it and go on a big stage and all that. So it was already, the divide was coming. And in fact, the last time when I recorded the vocals for 16 Stone, I played for my team the day, on Saturday, and I went on the Monday, and someone elbowed me in the mouth, and they split my entire lip on the inside. And for 2 months, I looked like the worst cold sore you've ever seen. I went vocal for every song, so to say, everything's zen. I heard through. So when I came to the studio on the Monday, and then people were saying something, I was at the background, yeah, I agree with that. They turned around, and it looked really bad, like someone took my face with a sledgehammer. And so that was the point. That was the last competitive game. I was like, you know what? You've got this break. You got a chance to make a record. Finally, maybe you shouldn't be playing full contact sports, So that was my last game I played. And my first movie I did was a football match called Game of Their Lives. And in the audition, I had to audition for the director and David Ansport, and then do a car park with Eric Winaldo, who's a top American footballer. I had to do the audition in the car park. It was chipping the ball over 2 cars. And we did it 2 or 3 times. He's like, yeah, fine. You got the part.
So was that the moment where you thought this is actually going to be a day job? When you made a couple of sacrifices and went, you know what, we can make a good go with this.
No, because I went back to work. We lost our distribution. The story of Bush. I went back to work, my day job, 2 months after recording that record, 16 Stone. And for 4 months, I just thought that was it. I just recorded it and I had made a record. And then in those 4 months, it then went to radio in America, and that's when it started for us. So no, I was back at work. I painted 11 identical offices in London West End in magnolia colour. They were dentist surgeries. It was like Groundhog Day. I wanted to kill myself. In fact, Pete, who works with me here now, has helped me set this up and put the light. He was my boss.
And that was your day. Not anymore. You're the boss, yeah.
Well, he still behaves like he is the boss. That's the funny part. But we've been mates since I was 9 years old. So he still is on this journey with me and setting up the light. Even at the beginning of this afternoon at 3 o'clock when I began, which is now sort of 5:30, he goes, so cool if I set it all up, and then is that cool? I was like, nah, mate, you got to be around in case something goes wrong. He goes, all right then, really annoyed about it. I was like,
that was an insane debut album, by the way. I just never sort of comprehended that was a debut, and I mean, it puts the pressure on after that.
Yeah, I think I'm much better now at the follow-ups. And I mean, the records we're making now, it's unfortunate. I accept it. I see myself as a working musician. But the record I made last, the Kingdom record, and this next record I'm in the middle of now, 16 songs in or whatever, I know, I've been it'd be amazing for any band to have that record. You sort of wish that you didn't have the history, because if this was a young band, you're like, oh my God, what is this? I'm going to blow people's minds. It's blowing my mind that I took a few months of me in my studio on my own, kind of hitting my head against a musical wall, and not in a good way. What tuning, what style, progression of the Kingdom, and I was a bit lost for a few months. And I suddenly found my aesthetic, and I unlocked it. And now, I think it's really good. It's just so deep and dark and sexy. It's brilliant. I could be forgiven for making a crappy sort of semi-acoustic nonsense record that leads you back to the better, funny stuff, And instead, I do music that tries to destroy that music. It won't destroy that music. and I love that music. But you know what I mean? It's up there with it. It just immediately demands to be in the set, which of course is impossible because at this point it'd been a 4-hour set, which I think is too much. But it's exciting to be inspired and doing music that is really vital. It feels really vital.
So it's not like a switch you can turn on. You literally have to mentally prepare yourself for quite some time before you get into writing and
well, to be honest,
recording.
it was like, well, yeah, it was just like, what am I doing? You know, like I used to have a system where I just would write songs and say, we'll write a crappy one and don't worry about it. And that was like Black and White Rainbows that had lots of different styles. And then when I did The Kingdom, it was like This Is War, which was the last song we did for the Black and White Rainbows record. And that's when I first got this manager that I've had now for like 4 years. And I just decided there and then, because we're doing so many festivals and so many big shows, and I always pick the heaviest songs off of every record to play along with the hits. So I was like, well, why not just make a super heavy record the whole way? The Institute record we made, a side project, me and Chris, I was always really proud of that. There's an entire record of drop tuning songs, and I was like, that's your future, mate, for now, you know, and I just do that. And it's brilliant. You know, I'm really, really, really happy with it because it just makes me smile that it's so heavy. I think like myself. So it's not like no dog barking. I didn't join the screamers. I can't do that stuff. And it still sounds like me from whenever. So if people like that, that's what they're getting off. And if they didn't, I'm sorry about that. I'm not sorry. But it's a good hybrid of like, because it's so heavy that it should be heavy metal singing. And it's not. It's like I'm just trying to do this kind of like jagged collaboration between worlds, and that's always the best way.
Time does fly though, because I realised The Sound of Winter is like, 10 years old, 11 years old now. I put it on last night and I'm like, God, that was a good song,
Yeah, just that's the speed of it. That's what's so beautiful, I've had a really close friend of mine I lost recently, a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago or something. It's just, life is so precious, it's so precious. And I'm just a firm believer that it's got to pack every day like a custard donut full of as much goodness and fun stuff as you can. And, I've got loads of things going on, and my kids are really busy and they're doing great things, and I'm trying to record, make good music. And it's just a really fertile time. And, we make our decisions how we approach life. Either we approach it with real energy and, with vigor. And I don't know, that seems to be the best way. I always try to look into live it to the full, really. That includes making really great songs, trying to.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm sorry about your mate, by the way, but yeah, I think that's a really good attitude to have, if you're...
It's the only attitude, it's a crapshoot for everyone. And all this stuff we've seen with COVID and the way the world is, I think the world has really changed from it. People sort of more realize that the wealth and richness comes from just pursuing what you want. People, so mates of mine who have restaurants, for example, they can't get the staff to work these 14, 16-hour days they used to do. People are like, you know what, mate, it's not worth it. I need a quality of life, so everyone's having to readdress that. So people that could push people to work a certain amount, and having realized that people are actually saying, no, quality of life. What were we all doing on this wheel, and it's about having a good time with your friends, your mates, your family, and yourself, and being good to yourself, really.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Everyone's had a reset. It's the reset of careers. It's the reset of your lifestyle. And are you enjoying LA? Because the LA lifestyle is a lot different to England.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a choice because my kids are here and they're too young to do anything without me, whatever they think. So I don't even think about it because I was separated from my homeland 15 years ago because my first son was born then. And I just accept it for what it is. They're amazing, and so I'm here and I just make the best of it. It's beautiful, you know what I mean? I was just in London a couple of weeks ago, the first time in 2 years, about a month ago, I think it was now, and that was brilliant, and I love it, and I miss it, and my culture's there, and all my best friends, and my family, but you got to be where your kids are. That's it.
Of course you do. And these are meant to be the best years of their lives and your life. So you got to do it. So the podcast is about the rider. So when you go on tour, what are the things you got to agree on? And it might not be as extravagant as what it's been in the past or whatever, but what do you actually put in the rider for you, like drinks wise or?
But mate, our rider is ridiculous. They sent a copy of it. I was like, what is all this? All I care about is cold Sapporo, if not Stella, and 1942 tequila. The rest of it, you can have your cheese, you can have your ham, you can have like whatever you like, you can have a kombucha, and we go through the roughage period where there's sort of someone's making beet juice every day or someone's making like terrible deli. How about it? I don't care. Just make it a couple of cold beers, nice shot of tequila. In fact, my daughter was here last week. I had all my 4 kids here for the week. It was brilliant. And she showed me the old tequila bomb. So in a glass of beer, you put the tequila in. I was like, brilliant. It's like you got a hand free. And it's a real mood enhancer. I got to tell you, that's my new drink of choice for everyone. So just one, it's plenty. I'll be having one in about 20 minutes. It's just the best. It's like suddenly like, wow, hey, it's a mood enhancer. It's like a Jack and Coke, and when you put it, remember, in a Coke can. Yeah. Put the Jack and Coke can, go watch a band for the side stage. You're like, by the end of it, you're like a different person. I'm so much more fun now. And but tequila is my favorite thing to drink if I'm going to drink. So that's my jam. So that's all I care about in the rider. You know what I mean? Nobody wants a peanut.
I reckon it's half of it's the management just seeing how far they can push it as well. They're going, you know what, we'll put in a platter and we'll put in this.
Platters have to be left outside. They've always got raw onions on them. So then you feel all like, and then when you're in the room, you don't realize that the room smells of onion. Then you have a few people come backstage afterwards and you don't want their memory to be, I met Bush, and it was like really fun, but like a little oniony. You don't want that. You got to be it's got to be good music, good lighting, no onions. That's what I call for.
Well, it's that lingering thing off your breath as well. It's like garlic. You just don't really want.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want garlic. Is amazing. And if anyone who's if I've had a girlfriend who's eaten garlic, I just sort of like, oh, you're like it's like a Spanish waitress. It's brilliant. I don't care about that. But onions, no, not into that.
Go back to the music now. What were you listening to in the mid-90s to give you that sort of inspiration for your sound? Was it a grungy thing, or were you into classic rock?
I was never into classic rock. I'm still not into classic rock. What it was for me was I thought that after the Sex Pistols, Public Image, Limited, for example, so I like that post-punk sound.
Yeah.
And then when I was coming up, I went to see Jane's Addiction at a small club in Portobello Road, Acklam Hall. This is like 250 people. And I watched Perry Farrell on stage. And I also loved at the same time the Pixies. I loved all those bands on 4AD, My Bloody Valentine. But when I'd go and see those bands, they weren't, it was the shoegazing time. So it just was not much of a spectacle. It was like sort of like huge wall of sound. And when I saw Perry Farrell, I was like, the guy's insane. He's like a shaman, And so if you want to perform like that, you got to do it to rock and guitars. And because I like the kind of post-punk thing, I'm always trying to push it more. So more traditional blues-based rock is just not my thing. I don't really like it. But, certain bands, some bands have made it brilliant. I mean, Rage Against the Machine, that's blues-based rhythm, riffs, one of the best bands ever. So, but it's the singing, and Zach was so modern. It's just like when you... So I try not to use any blues stuff in Bush music, which is really unusual. I don't know for your listeners, but that's really unusual in rock music. I mean, Nigel, back in the day on the slide, obviously that has a bluesy tint, but I never came across as blues because the music was like felt alternative. And now, like if anybody plays any blues lines around any of the songs I've written, that's like they leave the room. That's an instant negative on that one. So no one does that. So we've managed to have a career in music where we never rely on the blues scales, blues things, not at all.
Yeah, that's what I expected. I was wondering whether, in fact, I had written down, Jane's Addiction.
Well, I like dub music. Like I like dub. So I grew up with sound systems in London, and you'd have like a bass line that would last 10 minutes and guy toasting over the top. And so even now when I'm listening to the bass lines that I write, it all has that in it. Like Come Down is that. It's all these cyclical bass lines that just get your, when you hear those bass lines just on their own, it's brilliant. And I like nothing more than going down to a bass line, get rid of the guitars, bass line chugging. It's like the Jesus Lizard. And then all those influences in a melting pot. And that's what you got, you know. My music's really heavy, and yet I sing like I'm just singing, you know, as melodic as I can, you know, because I know that's what is the weird juxtaposition, you know, that's what sets us apart, because nobody tries to do that. Normally people scream over our kind of music.
Well, we can't wait to hear what's coming next. So is it recorded all together in a studio, or are you doing it remotely in some ways?
No, I've started all the songs here myself, 14, but I had a song I wrote with Corey. Corey came around, the bass player, and he gave me a bass line. I said to him, you've been playing my bass lines since I met you in 2005. I feel terrible. Play a bass line, and I sang to it. And then I put a song, you know, and I filled it out, filled the pieces, and it got this stonking song. Like, it's a stonker. I think it'd probably be a single.
I can't wait. And huge fan. And, you know, you did something brave. You put the album out in 2020, middle of COVID, and it all worked. It got millions and millions of listens. And I think the time's right. So good luck for the tour, which is about to begin. Under the Southern Stars starts March 11th through to 27, and then you take on the world.
We'll try.
Gavin Rossdale, great to catch up on the Rider.
Thanks, mate. See you there.
I'm still thinking there's a chance for a round of tennis with Gavin Rossdale when he gets down here. Bush, a massive part of Under the Southern Stars. As I said, March 11th through to 27. They're taking in Maitland and then through to Mornington. You've got Yarrawonga, Adelaide, Wollongong, Caloundra, of course, Sydney, Gold Coast, and Brisbane. It's going to be huge, and still to come on the Rider. I'm excited about this. This Thursday, Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick. Legendary guitarist. He's got a million stories. That's Thursday. And then Eric Kretz from Stone Temple Pilots comes out next week on the podcast. Make sure you click subscribe on whatever app you use, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Google, doesn't matter. Click subscribe and you'll have more of The Rider with Becko. Catch you next week.